excited to be here with y'all right now. We are living in interesting times. You know, I with the tech companies, it's always, I guess, interesting to see what's happening because like when COVID happened, right? A lot of people were at home and they went through all these hiring sprees, and then we've watched the ups and downs of them just building up their efforts towards immersive media, and then sometimes just cutting off their whole entire departments. So in that conversation, we're just kind of keeping today's topic of like, where is immersive now, and like, where do you feel maybe it'll go next, or like, where are we now? Like, I think right now we are alive, and I'm very proud of us for that. But looking out to the future, because I know right now a bit in my feels, just because it's, I feel like there's just, they say you can sometimes be very sad when you don't have enough information. So I feel like I'm in a very information exploratory phase, because I feel like I'm looking for direction. So in that sense, immersive, where are we now?
Where are we
Oh,
now?
a lot to unpack there, Kim. Great intro. Thank you for setting the kind of stage for us.
Oh, this
Yeah,
coffee's hot.
it's interesting. I don't know. It seems like the use of TikTok filters and Instagram filters is kind of, I mean, it's the same in the group of people that I kind of engage with, but they were like heavy filter users to begin with.
Hmm.
I don't know that I'm seeing as much of that on the Instagram side. And it looks like most of the videos that trend don't have filters on them. But those are just observations. So I don't know that there, it seemed like in 2021, especially, there was a big boom on, this sort of immersive technology. Definitely the biggest I've seen it. And I think from my observations that this technology is always, is very integral to customer experience, to, personalized marketing, to next level marketing, to next level storytelling. It's not a matter of the technology. I think, I think it's just finding practical uses of it in today's times, in ways that, I guess make sense for people that are not in that space to experience.
Yeah, those are good points, Caroline. Um, I think I totally agree with you, and I think it's an interesting point where the culture drives technology instead of
Hmm.
technology driving culture, like maybe a little bit of that pendulum. Because during the COVID era, of course, everyone's more home and wanted to be outside more, and technology helped like bridge that gap. And I think like the rate of which everything was changing around us, like the way of the world, kind of opened our minds to the possibilities of another future. Now I still think it exists. There's certain pockets like where it's immersive technology is doing really really well overall. Maybe you could say like with the UGC games, user generated content games like Fortnite and Roblox and those sort of things are maybe doing better than ever. But maybe the branding or the terminology, from metaverse to VR to XR to AR to MR,
Spatial computing.
spatial computing. Yeah, these things are like splashes in the water, but there's not like an overarching just like centerpiece culturally to really rally around. Um, so I think there's still pockets of it that are doing well, and from digital fashion sometimes over here to, like I mentioned, the games. So I think the technology is still there. It's just like our culturally, maybe there's not as much of a fit yet. Like I still think we're trying to master and come to terms with social media, before we have a big cultural shift into the next like ideation of online interaction. First, I think we're like in an interesting transitional period where AI will help usher in this new era. And there's still like niche groups that love and utilize the tech, and because the tech is getting better, it's getting better, more user friendly. Like I said, we're just trying to find a cultural fit for it is a challenge, and I don't think there's anywhere that necessitates it yet. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, yeah, it seems like there's nothing new on TV.
Mm.
And that pretty much stand-up comedians are really big right now.
yeah,
Performers are really big right now, like live music, live events.
live
Uh,
sports.
and what else was it? Yeah, and it was like, this realization that people are just outside, and I think like post COVID, they just want to be outside and like doing these things. But also, I don't know if that's also an effect from the writer's strike or from content in Hollywood, and how that all went down and how it's missed about like a season worth or like at least 8 months worth of writing and producing. And if what we're experiencing and like sort of the shifts of cultural behavior, like diving into these other aspects of culture, like stand-up comedy and things like that, if that's an effect of needing an entertainment outlet that used to be met by some sort of media outlet that's no longer there. I mean, I don't know. I guess I was watching some new content this week, but it hasn't been super like it used to be. It's not like it used to be, that's for sure. And I do wonder if these things are being written by humans as well. So I don't know. It's interesting to wonder if what we're seeing in the shift of behavior of people like wanting to leave and be out and about and not be looking at their screens maybe as much as they used to is an effect of that there's a void that is not there for them anymore, or maybe people are seeking in-person entertainment for some reason more so than they used to. I don't know.
Something that I did read, at least for like content that tends to be resonating more with people, is they've been calling it storytelling content. And I guess it's something like, like with having some type of narrative, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily immersive. But people are connecting with these types of content, and I think that we've seen examples of this with a lot, like, I don't even know if ad hoc is the correct term, but just unconventional ways of getting attention, like almost like a Kickstarter campaign, like help me show my boss that doing this is more effective than their marketing. And then it can sometimes go very viral. Those type of contents have been I've been seeing a lot of them do very well. But it's not necessarily because of the tech they're using. It's more of like the story, or like, I guess, that they're saying behind it.
Totally. I've been seeing those too. It kind of puts like a call to action. It makes you feel like you're. It's kind of like an underdog story usually. From storytelling, it's usually like help me do something to overcome this monster in some way, and usually it's like odds are they're the one that's the underdog. Like, yeah, help me prove my marketing professor wrong or something like that kind of stuff. Like it's cool. I think it speaks to the some of the, as far as storytelling, some of the like archetypes we have. I think there's like 9 types of stories. overcoming the monster, the underdog story, um, the hero's journey, and a
Mm.
few other ones that maybe we can put a link to in the post episode interviews. That brings a really good point. I think
So,
those mediums are driven by storytelling. Like, should be driving the technology should help drive the storytelling more. So it's interesting to see how many different ways you can wrap that and just like hack our psyche to like get to the essence of what engages us and entertains us, that have worked for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, we're still the same beings. I heard this really cool quote. Like, we're still the same beings, same human beings that want to be mesmerized and want to be in awe and marvel. You know, even though our society and culture is different, I think at essence there's still that like curiosity and those things that just bind us to our humanity, that we can engage and enhance like through storytelling and feel connected and all that kind of stuff. It's really crazy how powerful storytelling is in the tools that just keep amplifying it. AI, immersive technology, like all those things just kind of augment our connection.
so it is interesting because like I know I love immersive because I love the techie side, but I do see, I guess, kind of how you all had touched in the top of our talk, is that it does seem like people are leaning more towards these, I don't know, almost like traditional forms of media. Like that's why I think like the whole following traditional storylines kind of works like well, but connecting back to just small aspects of like community, uh, feeling like you're part of something. uh, yeah, it's interesting to see, I guess, where how like how do people connect these days. Like social media in some sense is always kind of changing too, so it's interesting to see, I guess, where we go with tech, because like Apple just came out with the Apple Vision Pro, and it's seeming like we already kind of knew it might take some time because it wasn't going to come out with any apps. But now that doctors are getting attention for using it and stuff, but like I know it's also probably going to take a couple months before we see more out of that. And like Meta just came out with their AR uh, glasses, and the vision of them is that eventually it would replace the phone. But like I feel like we're in the very like infancy stage too with all these techs, and sometimes I know I'm like, I want that big ripple, but as you all said, like at the top of the call, it's like these immersive techs have been like little ripples. They're little ripples that are slowly moving us forward in how we tell story, but it's sometimes it's a slow thing. Like we until like y'all got kind of said, it's like culture is going to be the one that really drives it. If people don't have a use to use these techs, it's they'll keep having these like moments where they're super popular, then they're kind of um yeah. But love hearing your perspectives on this too.
Yeah, it's interesting because I guess the technology, the immersive aspect of these things, they provide different cameras or different lenses or perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And in storytelling, it could be a creative way to either become a character or put your perspective in a character or live a day in a character or, formulate like a new ricochet effect on the story altogether and sort of create like a new create your own adventure ending sort of thing. And we, I'd be curious to see if we start to enter, and I always was hoping that, these immersive technologies would allow for an interconnected storytelling. And interconnected meaning like, it's non-linear, and that you can experience the story wherever in the line, because there is no line really, it's a circle. And you know, depending on what piece of the technology you pick up or what piece of the perspective, if you will, you pick up, you can join that part in the story and experience it. And sharing experiences is a form of, you know, sharing stories. I think that we've been sort of processing a lot of information over the past couple of years, to over 10 years or so, with social media, but not necessarily experiencing. Like taking a picture of your favorite food is not necessarily experiencing it. You know, you're kind of focused on the, you know, capturing aspect of things, processing it and taking it, but not necessarily being there for the experience. Perhaps people are wanting, you know, to dive into experience because maybe we've been missing a little bit of that. But I still think there's opportunities in, you know, sharing stories or being a marketer and providing storytelling resources for brands to creatively utilize these different lenses and tools, if you know you have the expertise to do so, to shed light on the different aspects of, like, you know, interconnected storytelling, that like it's not just you view it and it's dead, or you view it and it's, you know, done, that you can actually add like a new take to it, or you can become a new ripple in the story. Because we're all, you know, we're all here trying to connect, right? That's what we hope the internet's doing. But it's one thing to hope for that, but it's another thing to see it. And I think that like we could truly see it if we could, you know, get these experiences to another level. So we'll see.
I love that. It is like I, content. I think one of the reasons why I like immersive technology is because it does give you the power to make, you know, content, for lack of a better word, content, but I guess how you tell your story a bit more personalized, because you know, depending on like how the viewer wants to see it, like Caroline said, you can basically create a whole world of a story to share, but you, with the ability to, with the perspectives, you can kind of um, choose your own adventure. But I do agree with that. It'd be kind of cool to have some type of alternative reality where you're also contributing to the storyline. And on that note, Xander, as someone who's building this, what's your input on this?
Yeah, I remember like I was always having a hard time finding books to read as a kid
Hmm.
that I thought were cool. Like I was maybe like 8, I think, and my mom was really getting on to me or whatever. And then I discovered those choose your own mystery books, like choose your, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. It was nonlinear, and I was just like loved it. Created a new passion for reading and storytelling that I didn't even know was possible. And you know, at the time. So anyway, fast forward to today, and yeah, every Friday I host Pure Curiosity with Xander Simms, which started as a way to speak to my audience's pain points, discover what pain point I was speaking to and why they're interacting with me. And after, you know, discussing it, it was like pure curiosity. They were just curious about the technology and my passion behind it. It just seems fun. Like, you know, anybody playing air guitar, you can't play any wrong notes, you know, because you're just enjoying it. You're just doing it for the love of the, you know, that moment. And I feel like that's what my work was doing, speaking to people. And I was really excited to discover that in, you know, in these conversations. And I wanted to share that with my greater community. So we started the live show, and I was kind of off that kick of like taking feedback from the audience to craft the narrative, because it helped me come up with the video series and then the live shows. And it's just been really cool to connect, you know, and sometimes I feel like even on the scale of these technologies, you have to have it on a, ooh, I wish I had the right word. I don't know if it's a macro or micro. I think it's a macro scale, but on a smaller scale, like
There you go.
you and 10 people connecting and having an incredible time. and being able to sustain that. Is the technology helping you do that? Are you really connecting to people? I think that was the coolest thing I discovered. Is to, instead of like building a bunch of cool things with the tech and throwing it or aiming it at people, having a little bit more intentionally driven creation process with your audience in mind, and even create with your audience. So it's been a fun experiment. And yeah, I think there's a lot to it. Even from the 8-year-old kid who read the book until being able to interact and co-create with my audience, it's really cool and empowering. And I know that as a fan, when any brand listens and I have input, it's like makes me feel even more related to the brand. I think a cool definition of brand is the space you occupy in someone's mind, or the gut feeling you have. And if you feel some part of your identity, which is like our most consistent psychological need, is to be consistent with our identity. If you can incorporate a sense of a brand into your identity, then like you become like a forever fan. And I think this is the true essence of like storytelling. Could even be. So yeah, I think giving people ownership and co-creation is like paramount, crucial, and definitely like an aspect of what the future of immersive and entertainment and content could be like. It could be customized content just specifically for you. And that's like, would you watch it, or is it the shared experience? Like we all had a moment maybe when we saw, I don't know, Avengers Endgame. Like we all have that shared experience. But if it was a different storyline for you based off of your character preferences or your style choices, like would that be as equally enjoyable? I don't know. It's a curious question for me. Personalized versus mass shared experience, and the connection to yourself, or the connection to other people. Like you have that shared media experience.
I love it. And on that note, it's always great to talk to y'all. And
Janice.
yes, Janice, our superstar.
It's our mascot.
Yes.
What's up, buddy? Hello. Is he gonna talk today?
And I just want to give you both props, because I know we're all grinding on our own endeavors with our own businesses, but I think we're taking all the right approaches that I'm very proud of. And you all care about your community and you make efforts to connect with them. And I do feel like with that strong foundation, we're just going to go places. So on that note, Janice is here to wrap us up. Thank you, everyone. See you on the next episode. Whoa.